Hello yogis, my name is April and welcome to the Yoga Ranger Studio and welcome to a little chat. I've been spending the last few weeks thinking about a million different ways to approach this topic because I think it's probably one of the most challenging topics I've had to deal with personally, and I know I've had a lot of people talk to me about how hard it's been for them to deal with this as well. So forgive me if we kind of stumble around a little bit together, but it's a really big topic and it's one that's probably going to take more than just one chat video. So what I'm talking about is boundaries. And the minute I say that, you're all going to look and say, oh, boundaries, so hard to set, so hard to keep, so uncomfortable sometimes to enforce and to put in place. And yet all of us probably wish down deep inside that we had better boundaries, more boundaries, and that we enforced them and stuck with them more often. So I'm going to start with that those of us who are very empathy-oriented, caretakers, people who want to really nurture and nourish other people, those that are very much in the world of compassionate beings who want to help everyone, people pleasers, often another term used for that. We want to make everyone happy. We want to solve all of the problems. We want to help everyone that asks for our help. We want to give and give and give and give. And at some point in time, most of us will be facing compassion fatigue, burnout, adrenal fatigue, exhaustion, hopelessness, because we are constantly giving, and we struggle probably the most with setting and maintaining boundaries. So we want to always be there for everybody. We want to be like never saying no. We don't like to say no. It's uncomfortable, it's awkward, and we always feel like someone's going to be really upset with us when we say no. But I want to point out that no is a really powerful word, and no is a sentence all on its own. It doesn't need any explanation. It doesn't need anything around it or a story. No is no. And you can say no nicely. You can say, I don't feel like that right now. I don't have the energy for that. I don't think I can fit that into my schedule. It doesn't fit in with my bandwidth. There are a lot of great ways to say it. You don't have to just blurt it out, but sometimes you might have to say just no. You might have to just say no, just no. And that's okay too, right? Setting boundaries, I feel like, is like something that I thought at the very beginning, I could set a boundary and say, I'm not going to take that anymore. And I could just say it once and I'd be done. That boundary was in place and it was never going to need maintenance or anything again. But like anything in life, brushing your teeth, fencing, anything, everything needs some care. It needs to be cared for and propped up. So I really think about boundaries in terms of like brushing your teeth. You're going to need to do it multiple times a day because that just keeps you healthy. And so boundaries, you're going to need to enforce them and work with them and maintain them and keep them in mind a lot, daily, throughout the day. And they're not going to take what you would think a huge energetic draw just to maintain a boundary, because they're going to get easier and easier, and it's going to get less and less complicated, and it's going to feel more and more intuitive. When I started, I think I practiced the script for hours on end to just simply tell somebody I didn't want to do something that I really didn't want to do, and yet I'd said yes to for years. I had this script all laid out and I practiced it in front of the mirror, and I took all this time and I thought about the fallout and how upset it would be and angry someone would be at me. And then I did it and I sweated and I felt really uncomfortable. And they looked me in the eye and said, oh, okay. And it was so simple. For them, it was no big deal. And I'd convinced myself that saying no to this person or saying that I didn't want to do that was going to really upset them, and it didn't. And I was really surprised. I had psyched myself up for this big adventure that never turned out. Sometimes it'll be like that, and sometimes somebody will get upset. They might not like that they've been able to ask something of you and you've been willing to give it even though you really didn't want to, for years and years. Or maybe it's something you did love doing at one point in time or giving, and now you just don't have the bandwidth for it. You don't have the energy. And so boundaries are a lot about, I think, really reminding yourself that they're good for not just you, but they're good for other people. So think about a boundary as letting people know how they can act and the parameters, and giving them sort of a structure of a relationship. So it's like when you build a building or house, you have this structure in place. You have this foundation that you've laid. This is the basic things that you have in common or that you want to have with relationship-wise with this person or this situation. And then there's this structure, this sort of outer shell. And this outer shell is the boundaries. It puts the inside and the outside in two separate locations. And there are people that are allowed inside, and there are people that are kept outside. That doesn't mean you don't love them or care about them or want to include them or help them in any way. It just means that there needs to be some sort of structure that lets people know that when you're ready to open the door, you'll open it, and if you don't, you don't. So boundaries have been super hard, especially when you're under a lot of strain. So if you're a caretaker and you're facing some major issues of caring for someone who is terminally ill, or a long-term caretaker, then you're going to find that it may be harder to set those boundaries because you're thinking to yourself, they have no one else and they have nowhere else to go and I must be the helper. But remember that you can also ask for help too. The helper can ask for help, and you can ask people to step in and say, okay, normally I'd go visit this person and take care of them and do their laundry and cook them a meal every single day, 5 days a week. But if I ask somebody else to help me, maybe I only have to do it 3 days a week. And then that time is going to allow you time to rejuvenate and spend time with your loved ones and reboot yourself, nourish yourself, keep yourself healthy mentally, physically, and emotionally. We tend to burn out quickly when we are heavy into caretaking and caregiving activities. And so sometimes we need to take a step back, maybe a day off. Say, I need someone to take over, so that I can take a day off and go do whatever it is you want to do. Maybe sleep all day, maybe binge watch Netflix, maybe read all day, maybe go to the spa, whatever it is you want to do that's going to give you that kind of reboot back. Ask for help. Boundaries are also about asking for help too, right? So I remember hearing the first time I heard the words a sacred no. And I thought, what does that mean? I mean, what is the sacred no? There's no and there's sacred no. Sacred no is accepting that you don't have to explain yourself to anyone, that you don't owe anybody an explanation when it comes to managing your energy and what you are offering to the world. What you offer is a gift, and it is freely given. When it's not freely given, it's no longer really a gift that you love. The sacred no allows you to say no to things that don't light you up, uplift you, inspire you, or make your world explosively beautiful, so that you can say yes to the things where you can put your all into it. When you're doing something that you don't really love and you really wish you had said no, and you're taking on something and people are asking for more than you're willing to give, you give it grudgingly, and you're bitter and you're not happy about it and you're angry. When you're saying yes to something that you really want to say yes to, something that really inspires you or really opens up your heart, you're going to give 1,000%. You're going to make it a super beautiful thing. There's going to be no anger, no bitterness, no unhappiness with it. You're going to love it, and you're going to love it all the way. Those things are the things that you need to be doing. Those things that bring you great depth of joy so that you can make that joy explode a little bit further out into the world. So boundary setting is about sometimes saying no so you can be open to something coming up that you can say yes to that really makes you fall in love with your world. The sacred no is also about making choices about how you manage your energy. So when you wake up in the morning, you have a certain amount of energy throughout your day. If you have something going on or someone asks something of you that draws 95% of your energy in the first hour of the day, then what happens to the rest of the day? You don't have enough for other people. you don't have enough in case there's some emergency in the afternoon that someone really needs you or you need you. You don't have the energy left to take care of that. You don't have the energy to offer. So when you say no to certain things that are really energy drain, and there are things and situations which are very energy draining, when you reduce those or say no to those, you are providing energy for other people so that you can spread it around a little bit more. I think of this in terms of, telling someone that really wants me to do a project that I don't love or get involved in something that I don't passionately feel something for. And I say yes, but I really wish I'd said no. And then at some point I decide I'm just going to say no. And then something comes up later that is this really amazing experience. And because I'm blocked into this thing over here, I can't take on this beautiful thing over here. And I've put all my energy into something I don't love, and I'm begrudgingly doing it. And I'm out of energy for all the things and projects and people that I want to give my energy to. So we think of this as under Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, the yamas is brahmacharya, or energy management. We have to learn to manage our energy. Just like managing energy in our households, we have to learn how to manage our personal energy, giving it to the things and people that we think will be the best investment. It's an investment, right? When you say yes, you're investing your energy in something. You're committing to your energy going and flowing there. And if you don't really want your energy to go and flow there, or all of your energy to go and flow there, you need to set boundaries or use the sacred no. Remember that the sacred no doesn't cut everything off. It could, but in a situation, it could be saying no to a project that you've been given or taken on, that someone's asking you to do something extra that you're not willing to do, or you don't have the time or energy to do. No comes in small packages, and it comes in much bigger packages. So in this, I want you to really think about the sacred no and boundaries as these things that happen every single day. Every morning I wake up and I do my practice, my meditation and yoga, and I also spend some time in front of a candle just setting my boundaries, asking myself what I have coming on the board for the day, what I want to do, where I want to send my energy and how I want to use it, and really kind of thinking about how I want to protect my energy, protect myself, keeping some of that energy for me, because I too must retain some of that for my health and wellness, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Maybe setting that at the beginning of your day, just taking a minute or two to really come into that point of how do I want to spend my energy today and where am I going to spend it? And when you set that goal, working through your day with that in mind, aligning yourself with that intention, knowing that you have something at 7 p.m. that you really have to focus on, your child really needs you, or a parent really needs you, or someone needs you a whole lot, some project needs you, and yet you can't give all your energy at 10 a.m. in the morning because you know you have that coming and you want to make sure you have that energy for that. So maybe saying no to something earlier in the day. Saying no to protect yourself, and saying no without having to explain. If people look at you like they want an explanation, just say, I just don't have the bandwidth for it. Right now, I'm just in a place where I can't do that. It's just not available to me. I have some other things going on right now, and when those are cleared, I'll revisit this conversation or this situation or this relationship. Being consciously aware of how your energy is being used throughout the day and who is getting your energy also allows you to make some decisions about relationships. Maybe there's a relationship you know is very draining. And as much as you love that person and care about them, it may be that it's draining so much of your energy that all these other people and all these other situations in your life that you want to give your energy to, you have none left to give. Take care of that. Make a choice. Align with your intention for how you want your energy to flow outward from you, how you want to use your energy in the world, and the boundaries you want to set into how that energy is sent out into the world. So just a little something out there. Maybe thinking, I invite you to maybe think about something in your life, some small situation that really bothers you. something that's happening, some relationship, some situation that really annoys or frustrates you. And ask yourself how you can set a boundary here. How you can set a boundary that will help you feel a little bit stronger and your energy. Maybe it's, a friend of mine told me a story about how someone called her love every time she turned around, and it really bothered her. And it was something really small, but she psyched herself up to go tell that person, hey, I'm new here. My name is this. I would love for you to call me by my name. And the person said, absolutely. And she let that whole frustration and irksomeness go away, and she set that boundary, and that relationship flourished and became a less stressful situation every time she went to see that person. And it just felt better. It was a little softer, a little easier, less frustrating and irritating. So if you can, please take a moment or two to think of some situation in your life that you would love to make a little change, and start small and maybe see where else you can take those boundaries, beginning to set those in place, managing your energy, using it for what you really want to use it for and who you want to really share it with, and not letting other people dictate how your energy is used, setting those boundaries and putting them in place. I think you'll find, as I have found very much over the last few months, that my relationships have gotten a lot stronger. There's a lot more honest conversations happening about what they want and what I want, and really coming to a middle ground. People are being a much more open and vulnerable in my life because of the boundaries I have put in place. And I continue to work with those boundaries and develop them and make them stronger and change them and shift them around. Remember that a boundary doesn't have to be a boundary forever. Your life changes, situations change. It can always shift around, but holding that boundary in place while you need it to be like that, as long as you need to support yourself and your management of your energy to protect yourself. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope this gave you a little insight into sacred no and boundaries and putting those in place. As I said at the beginning, this is definitely a conversation I think we'll probably have again, but I think this next time I will invite a guest on so we can have some other input from someone else about how boundaries work and how to really put them in place and enforce them and make them happen, and really find more strength and energy management and balance in our lives because of those boundaries, helping build stronger relationships with ourselves and with the world. Have a wonderful week. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you again very soon.